Dr. Emma Clark wiped the sweat from her forehead as she stepped out of the research station's main building. The twin suns of Kepler 442b were setting, casting long purple shadows across the rocky landscape. She had been working on this remote planet for 8 months now, studying the strange plants and small creatures that lived in the harsh environment. Most days were quiet and lonely, with only her research partner James visiting once a week to bring supplies. Emma was walking toward the equipment storage area when she heard a loud crash from beyond the ridge. The sound echoed across the empty landscape like thunder. She grabbed her scanner and emergency kit, then climbed the rocky hill to see what had happened. At the bottom of the slope, she found the twisted remains of what looked like a small spacecraft. Smoke was still rising from the wreckage, and pieces of strange metal were scattered everywhere. Emma's scanner started beeping wildly as she got closer. There was something alive in there. She moved carefully around the broken ship, following the beeping sounds. Under a large piece of the hull, something was moving. Emma could hear soft whimpering sounds, like a hurt animal. Her heart started beating faster as she used her portable lift to move the heavy metal piece. What she found underneath made her gasp. The creature was about the size of a house cat, but unlike anything she had ever seen. Its skin was dark blue with silver markings that glowed softly in the dim light. Sharp crystal-like spines ran along its back, and its eyes were large and golden. Green blood was seeping from a cut on its side. Emma recognized the creature immediately from her advanced training files. This was a young Vorthak, one of the most feared creatures in the galaxy. Stories about Vorthaks were told throughout known space. They were said to be monsters that could tear through starship walls with their claws and hunt entire crews for sport. Most people thought they were just scary stories, but Emma knew they were real. The young Vorthak looked up at her with those bright golden eyes. It was breathing heavily and seemed very weak. Emma knew she should contact the authorities right away. The rules were clear about dangerous alien life forms. But as she looked at the small, hurt creature, she could not bring herself to follow protocol. "You are just a baby, are not you?" she whispered softly. The creature's eyes followed her movements, but it did not try to run or attack. Emma could see fear in those golden eyes, and something else. Intelligence. Emma made a decision that would change her life forever. She carefully picked up the wounded Vorthak, surprised by how light it was. The creature made a soft sound but did not struggle. Its body was warm and she could feel its heart beating fast against her arms. Back at the research station, Emma prepared one of the containment units for her unexpected patient. She lined it with soft blankets and set up the medical equipment. The young Vorthak watched everything she did with curious eyes. When Emma began cleaning its wound, the creature held perfectly still, as if it understood she was trying to help. "I will call you Sage," Emma said as she worked. "You have very wise eyes for someone so young." The hardest part was getting Sage to eat. Emma tried different types of food from her supplies, but the creature refused everything. It would retreat to the corner of its enclosure and watch Emma with wary eyes. She could tell it was getting weaker from hunger. On the third day, Emma tried synthesized proteins that she normally used for her experiments. She placed small pieces near Sage and stepped back. The creature sniffed the food carefully, then looked up at Emma. Very slowly, Sage reached out and took a small piece. After tasting it, the creature began eating more eagerly. Emma was amazed by what she observed over the next few days. Sage was not the mindless monster from the scary stories. The creature was intelligent and curious. It watched Emma work and seemed to understand that she was studying other life forms. Sometimes Sage would point at things with one of its claws, as if asking questions. By the end of the first week, Sage had grown noticeably larger. The creature now followed Emma around the laboratory, its claws clicking softly on the metal floor. The bioluminescent markings on its body had become brighter and changed colors based on what seemed to be its mood. When Sage was happy, the markings glowed soft blue. When the creature was excited or curious, they turned bright green. Emma began to realize that she was witnessing something incredible. The galaxy's most feared predator was actually a highly intelligent being capable of complex emotions and behaviors. Sage seemed to understand that Emma had saved its life, and the creature showed what could only be described as gratitude and affection. The real breakthrough came when Emma accidentally knocked over a tray of specimens. Before she could react, Sage had carefully picked up each sample and placed them back on the tray. The creature had been watching Emma work and learned what was important to her research. That evening, as Emma worked late in her laboratory, Sage curled up near her desk. The creature's crystalline spines glowed softly in the darkness, and Emma could hear a sound like distant thunder coming from its throat. She realized that Sage was content, maybe even happy. Emma knew that she had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. She had formed a bond with a creature that the rest of the galaxy considered a nightmare. But as she watched Sage sleeping peacefully nearby, Emma felt that she had made the right choice. She had no idea that her decision to show kindness to one hurt creature would soon change everything. 3 weeks had passed since Emma found Sage in the crashed ship. The young Vorthak had grown much larger, now about the size of a medium dog. Its crystalline spines were sharper and brighter, and the bioluminescent markings had become more complex. But the most amazing change was how attached Sage had become to Emma. Every morning, Emma would wake up to find Sage waiting by her bedroom door. The creature would follow her to the kitchen, then to the laboratory, and even to the bathroom. If Emma went somewhere that Sage could not follow, the creature would sit by the door and make soft whimpering sounds until she returned. "This is getting out of hand, Emma," said Dr. James Peterson as he watched Sage carefully arrange rock samples on Emma's desk. James visited the station every week to bring supplies and check on her research. "That thing could kill you in seconds if it wanted to." "Sage is not a thing, James," Emma replied, picking up one of the rocks. She was amazed to see that Sage had somehow known to bring her exactly the type of mineral she needed for her current study. "Look at this behavior. Sage is trying to help with my work." James shook his head as he watched the large predator gently place another specimen next to Emma's microscope. "I do not care how helpful it is. The regulations are clear about dangerous alien life forms. If the Galactic Council finds out what you are doing here, then they will learn something that could change how we understand an entire species," Emma said firmly. She had been studying Sage's behavior patterns for weeks now, and what she discovered was incredible. Vorthaks were not the mindless killing machines that everyone believed them to be. Sage demonstrated problem-solving abilities that rivaled those of the smartest Earth animals. The creature had learned to recognize different tools in the laboratory and would often fetch items before Emma even asked for them. When Emma was working on complex calculations, Sage would bring her food and water without being asked. Even more impressive was Sage's emotional intelligence. The creature seemed to understand when Emma was tired or stressed. On difficult days, Sage would rest its large head on Emma's lap and make the soft rumbling sound that Emma had learned meant contentment. The bioluminescent markings would glow a soothing blue color, and somehow this always made Emma feel better. Emma had also noticed that Sage was becoming very protective of her. When a delivery drone had malfunctioned and crashed near the laboratory entrance, Sage had immediately positioned itself between Emma and the smoking wreckage. The creature's markings had flared bright red, and its claws had extended to their full length. Only when Emma assured Sage that she was safe did the creature calm down. "I think Sage sees me as family," Emma explained to James one evening as they watched the Vorthak practice what looked like hunting movements in the laboratory's open space. "Everything about its behavior suggests these creatures have strong social bonds." "Family or not, it is still one of the galaxy's most dangerous predators," James warned. "Those claws could cut through steel, and I have seen what those spines can do when they are angry." Emma knew James was right about Sage's physical capabilities. She had watched the creature accidentally scratch deep grooves in the metal floor just by walking normally. But she had also seen how gentle Sage could be. When Emma had cut her hand on a broken glass slide, Sage had carefully licked the wound clean with its rough tongue, being incredibly careful not to hurt her with its sharp teeth. The breakthrough in their communication came during the 4th week. Emma was explaining her research to Sage, as she often did while working. She knew the creature did not understand her words, but Sage always listened intently. This time, when Emma pointed to a chart showing different plant species, Sage made a sound that was almost like speech. "Puechlant," Sage said slowly, the word coming out rough and strange through its alien throat. Emma nearly dropped her tablet. "Did you just say plant?" Sage's golden eyes focused on her face, and the creature repeated the sound. "Puechlant." Over the next few days, Emma began teaching Sage simple words. The creature was an incredibly fast learner. Within a week, Sage could say Emma, food, safe, and several other basic words. The creature's voice was deep and rumbling, but the words were clear enough to understand. James was shocked when he heard Sage speak during his next visit. "This changes everything," he said, staring at the large predator who was calmly sorting mineral samples while humming a tune Emma had taught it. "If Vorthaks can learn language, if they can think and feel like this, then everything we thought we knew about them is wrong," Emma finished. She scratched behind Sage's head, right where the creature liked it best. Sage leaned into her touch and made the rumbling sound of happiness. But their peaceful routine was about to be shattered. That night, as Emma worked late in the laboratory, Sage suddenly lifted its head and made a low warning sound. The creature's bioluminescent markings shifted to amber, and it moved to position itself between Emma and the main entrance. Its claws extended slightly, and the crystalline spines along its back began to glow brighter. "What is it, Sage?" Emma whispered. The creature looked at her with serious golden eyes. "Danger coming, Emma," Sage said in its deep voice. "Bad humans coming here." Emma felt her blood turn cold. Somehow, Sage had sensed something that her instruments had not detected yet. Something was approaching the research station, and whatever it was, Sage considered it a threat. The next morning brought visitors that Emma had been dreading for months. A sleek Galactic Council transport ship landed near the research station just as the twin suns were rising. Emma watched through her window as Commander Robert Hayes and 3 other officials in dark blue uniforms walked toward her facility. Emma's heart was pounding as she quickly led Sage to the auxiliary storage room. The Vorthak had grown even more over the past week and was now nearly as tall as Emma when standing on its back legs. Its crystalline spines gleamed in the artificial light, and its golden eyes showed intelligence that no one would expect from a supposedly mindless predator. "Stay quiet, Sage," Emma whispered as she closed the storage room door. "These people would not understand what you really are." Sage's bioluminescent markings shifted to a worried orange color. "Emma safe?" the creature asked in its deep, rumbling voice. "I will be fine," Emma promised. "Just stay hidden until they leave." Emma barely had time to clean up the laboratory before Commander Hayes knocked on the main entrance. She opened the door with what she hoped was a calm smile. "Dr. Clark, I am Commander Hayes from the Galactic Council," the tall man said, showing her his identification. "This is a routine inspection of your research facility. We have been getting some unusual energy readings from this sector." Emma's mouth went dry. She had not thought about the fact that Sage's bioluminescent markings might show up on long-range scanners. "Of course, Commander. Please come in." The inspection team moved through her laboratory with professional efficiency. Their scanners swept every corner while Emma tried to act normal. Commander Hayes asked questions about her research, and Emma answered as best she could while worrying about Sage in the storage room. Everything seemed to be going well until the station's alarm system suddenly started screaming. Red lights flashed throughout the facility as the main computer announced, "Warning. Multiple unknown ships approaching. Warning. Hostile vessels detected." Commander Hayes immediately activated his communicator. "This is Commander Hayes requesting immediate backup. We have hostile ships approaching Research Station Kepler 442b. The response that came back made Emma's heart sink. "Negative, Commander. Nearest patrol is 18 hours away. You are on your own." Through the laboratory windows, Emma could see 5 unmarked ships landing in a rough circle around the research station. Armed figures in black battle armor were already running toward the building. These were pirates, and they had come looking for valuable research data to steal and sell. The station's defensive systems lasted only seconds against the pirates' weapons. The main door exploded inward, and suddenly Emma found herself face down on the laboratory floor with a pulse rifle pointed at her head. "Nobody move," shouted the pirate leader, a woman with scars across her face and cybernetic implants covering half her head. "This is a data raid. Cooperate and you might live through this." Emma pressed her cheek against the cold metal floor, next to Commander Hayes and his team. The pirates were already accessing her research computers, downloading everything they could find. "Jackpot," the scarred woman announced as data flowed across her portable screen. "Classified xenobiology research. This will bring millions on the black market." Emma felt sick as she watched years of her work being stolen. But her fear turned to terror when she heard a familiar sound coming from the storage room. A low, rumbling growl that made the pirates stop what they were doing and look around nervously. The storage room door began to shake. Something very large and very strong was trying to get out. The metal hinges started to bend under the pressure. "What the hell is that?" one of the pirates asked, raising his weapon toward the noise. Emma's mind raced. Sage had grown much bigger over the past months, and she had no idea how the creature would react to seeing armed strangers threatening her. But she was about to find out. The storage room door exploded outward with tremendous force, sending pieces of metal flying across the laboratory. What emerged from the darkness was no longer the small, hurt creature Emma had found weeks ago. Sage had reached nearly adult size, standing almost as tall as a human. The crystalline spines along its back were glowing bright red, and its claws were extended to their full, terrifying length. The pirates stared in shock at the nightmare creature that had just appeared in front of them. This was exactly the kind of monster from the stories they had heard as children. But what happened next surprised everyone in the room. Sage looked directly at Emma, lying on the floor with a weapon pointed at her head. The creature's golden eyes filled with an intelligence that no one expected. Then, in a clear voice that echoed through the silent laboratory, Sage spoke in perfect human language. "Bad humans hurt Emma Mother," the Vorthak said, its deep voice carrying a note of anger that made the pirate step backward. "These humans threaten Pack family." Commander Hayes stared in amazement. He had never heard of a Vorthak that could speak, let alone one that showed concern for human safety. Sage's bioluminescent markings shifted to a pattern Emma had never seen before. The creature looked at each pirate in turn, then back at Emma. "Sage protects family," it announced. The scarred pirate leader raised her weapon with shaking hands. "What is that thing supposed to be?" Emma found her voice. "His name is Sage. And you just made a very big mistake." The Vorthak's golden eyes focused on the pirates, and for the first time since Emma had known the creature, Sage looked truly dangerous. The laboratory fell silent except for the soft humming of equipment and the sound of everyone's nervous breathing. Sage stood in the doorway like a living nightmare, but Emma could see the intelligence behind those glowing golden eyes. The creature was not acting on pure instinct. Sage was thinking, planning, and most importantly, trying to protect Emma and the others. The scarred pirate leader aimed her weapon at Sage, but her hands were shaking. "Stay back, monster, or I will blast you into pieces." Sage tilted its massive head and looked at Emma. "Emma Mother, bad humans have hurt weapons." Sage removes threat. Emma's heart was racing. She knew that Sage could easily kill all the pirates in seconds, but she also knew that was not what she wanted. "Sage, protect us, but try not to kill them unless you have to." The Vorthak's bioluminescent markings shifted to a pattern of deep blue and silver. "Sage understands. No killing unless Pack family in danger." What happened next was like watching a master hunter at work. Instead of charging at the pirates like a wild animal, Sage simply vanished. One moment the creature was standing in the doorway, and the next it had melted into the shadows of the laboratory. The pirates spun around wildly, trying to track the creature with their weapons. But Sage knew every corner of the research station. Emma had watched the creature explore every room, every corridor, and every hiding place over the past months. Now Sage was using that knowledge. "Where did it go?" shouted one of the pirates, his voice high with fear. The answer came from above. Sage had somehow gotten into the ceiling ventilation system and was moving through the metal ducts with impossible silence. The only sign of the creature's presence was the occasional soft glow of bioluminescent markings visible through the air vents. The first pirate disappeared when he wandered too close to a maintenance hatch. There was a brief scuffle, a muffled cry, and then silence. When the others found him a few minutes later, he was unconscious but alive, carefully placed in a storage closet with his weapons removed. "This is impossible," the pirate leader muttered, backing toward the main computer terminal. "Nothing moves that fast and that quietly." Commander Hayes watched in amazement as Sage continued its hunt. The creature was demonstrating tactical intelligence that rivaled trained military units. But what impressed him most was Sage's restraint. Each pirate was eliminated with precise, non-lethal force. The second pirate tried to hide in Emma's office, but Sage appeared behind him like a shadow. The man spun around just in time to see golden eyes glowing in the darkness before gentle but firm claws knocked him unconscious. Again, Sage carefully moved the unconscious pirate to safety before continuing. Emma found herself able to move as the remaining pirates became too distracted to watch their prisoners carefully. She crawled toward Commander Hayes and whispered, "Sage is protecting all of us. Even your people." Hayes nodded, watching as Dr. James Peterson was gently guided to safety by a massive clawed hand that emerged from the shadows. "I have never seen anything like this. That creature is hunting with surgical precision." The third pirate panicked and started firing his weapon randomly at the ceiling. Pulse blasts lit up the laboratory, but they hit nothing except empty air and metal walls. Sage seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. When the pirate's weapon overheated and shut down, Sage materialized directly in front of him. The man screamed and tried to run, but the Vorthak simply reached out with one claw and touched a pressure point on his neck. The pirate collapsed instantly, unharmed but completely unconscious. Sage learned that from medical files, Emma realized aloud. "The creature has been studying our anatomy." Only 2 pirates remained, the scarred leader and one of her subordinates. They had barricaded themselves in the communications room, but Emma knew it would not help them. Sage had access to every part of the station through the maintenance tunnels. The subordinate broke first. When soft scratching sounds came from inside the walls around him, he threw down his weapon and ran for the exit. Sage allowed him to leave, but Emma could see the creature's golden eyes tracking the fleeing man through the windows. The pirate leader found herself alone, surrounded by the unconscious bodies of her crew. She still held her weapon, but her hands were shaking so badly she could barely aim it. That was when Sage chose to appear. The creature rose from the shadows behind the communication console like death itself, but its bioluminescent markings were now glowing a calm blue color. "You surrender now," Sage said in its deep, rumbling voice. "Sage does not want to hurt you, but will protect family." The woman stared into those intelligent golden eyes and saw something she did not expect. There was no anger there, no desire for revenge. Only a calm determination to protect the people Sage cared about. She dropped her weapon and raised her hands. "I surrender. Please do not kill me." Sage's head tilted slightly. "Sage does not kill unless forced. You threatened Emma mother and pack family. But now you stop. Sage forgives." Emma felt tears in her eyes as she watched the galaxy's most feared predator show mercy to someone who had threatened everything Sage cared about. The creature carefully escorted the surrendering pirate back to the main laboratory, never once using its claws or teeth. Commander Hayes stood slowly, staring at Sage with new understanding. "Dr. Clark, I think we need to have a very long conversation about what you have discovered here." 6 months after the pirate attack, Emma stood in the Great Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council headquarters. The enormous room was filled with representatives from dozens of different worlds, all here to witness something that had never happened before. Beside her, Sage rested peacefully on a specially designed platform that could support the Vorthak's massive weight. Sage had grown to full adult size over the past months, standing nearly 7 feet tall with crystalline spines that caught the light like jewels. The creature wore a translation collar that Emma had designed, making it easier for Sage to communicate with the various species in the council chamber. "Members of the council," Emma began, her voice carrying clearly through the whole speaker system. "6 months ago, you would have ordered this creature killed on sight. Today, I ask you to listen with open minds to what Sage has to teach us." Chairman William Foster, an elderly man who had overseen first contact with 17 different species, leaned forward in his chair. "Dr. Clark, you are asking us to believe that one of the galaxy's most dangerous predators can think and feel like we do. This goes against centuries of established knowledge." Sage lifted its great head and spoke through the translator, its deep voice filling the chamber. "Chairman Human Foster speaks truth. Sage kind feared by many worlds. But fear comes from not understanding. Emma Mother teaches Sage that understanding makes fear go away." A murmur of amazement ran through the assembly. Many of the council members had never heard a Vorthak speak before. The creature's calm, intelligent manner was completely different from the savage monsters described in their files. "How do we know this is not some kind of trick?" asked Representative Maria Santos from the outer colonies. "Perhaps this creature is just very good at copying our behavior." Emma activated a holographic display that showed months of research data. Sage has learned to read and write in 3 different languages. The creature understands complex mathematics, can solve logic puzzles, and has even composed music. This is not copying behavior. This is genuine intelligence. To demonstrate, Sage reached over to a small keyboard that Emma had brought. With careful movements of its claws, the creature typed out a message that appeared on the main screen: "Sage happy to meet Council humans. Hope we can be friends." Dr. James Peterson, now working as Emma's official research partner, stood up to address the assembly. "We have documented contact with 17 different Vorthak family groups. In every case, when approached peacefully, they responded with curiosity rather than hostility. They are not the monsters we thought they were." The holographic display changed to show images of other Vorthaks that Emma and her team had encountered. Young ones played together much like human children, while adults worked together to solve problems and care for their families. It was clear that these creatures had a complex society. "The evidence is remarkable," admitted Chairman Foster, "but changing the classification of an entire species is not a decision we can make lightly. What happens if we are wrong? What if these creatures are just pretending to be peaceful?" Sage stood up slowly, its bioluminescent markings shifting to a gentle green pattern that Emma knew meant the creature was trying to be reassuring. "Chairman Human has right to be careful. Sage understands. But Sage asks, when humans first met other species, did those species trust humans right away?" The question hung in the air. Everyone in the chamber knew the answer. First contact was always difficult, and trust had to be built over time. "Sage kind made mistakes before," the creature continued. "Humans made mistakes too. But Emma Mother teaches that mistakes do not have to last forever. We can learn to be better. Representative Santos looked directly at Sage. If we agree to change your species classification, what assurances can you give us that other Vorthacs will be as peaceful as you? Sage cannot speak for all Vorthak kind, the creature replied honestly. Just like Chairman Human cannot speak for all humans. But Sage can teach other Vorthacs what Emma Mother taught Sage. Family is not about same blood. Family is about same heart. Emma felt tears in her eyes as she listened to Sage's words. The creature had learned so much over the past months, not just about language and science, but about what it meant to care for others. The voting process took 3 hours. Emma waited nervously as representatives debated and discussed the proposal. Some were enthusiastic about the possibility of peaceful contact with Vorthacs. Others worried about the risks involved. Finally, Chairman Foster called for the final vote. All in favor of reclassifying the Vorthak species from hostile xenofauna to protected sentient species, raise your hands. Emma held her breath as hands rose throughout the chamber. It was close, but the vote passed by a narrow margin. The motion carries, Chairman Foster announced. The Vorthak species is hereby reclassified as a protected sentient species pending further diplomatic contact. Sage's bioluminescent markings flared bright blue with happiness. The creature looked down at Emma and made the soft rumbling sound that meant contentment. Emma Mother, we did it. Sage kind and humankind can be friends now. As the council members began to leave, Emma found herself alone with Sage in the Great Hall. Through the massive windows, she could see a transport ship arriving with the first official Vorthak diplomatic delegation. Other members of Sage species were coming to meet with human representatives. Sage lowered its massive head to rest against Emma's shoulder, just as it had done on that first day when she found the creature injured and alone. Thank you, Emma Mother, Sage whispered. You saved more than just Sage. You saved understanding between worlds. Emma smiled, watching the future unfold before her eyes. What had started with one simple act of kindness had grown into something that would change the galaxy forever.